Hey everybody, we are back. Dave Rohr, Matt Siltala here with another podcast, and we got a fun one for you. This is one that Dave and I always get a kick out of, and it's SEO related. I know we've been talking a lot about social and content, but we are going to talk about some search engine optimization here for you. And this one is a fun one that we get quite often. It's I did SEO once and I'm going to move on, or I already did SEO to that, and so, I'm going to move on and I don't need anything else. Or I did that once, all the different versions that we get that, Dave. But go ahead and introduce yourself, Dave, and we'll just kick things off.
Thank you, sir. Oh, it's working for our today. So, yeah, the question that, besides SEO is dead, is SEO one and done? Can I just do this audit? Can you just do an audit for me, and then I'll take it and I'll give it to my developers, and they'll fix everything, and magically all of our SEO will be done? Never mind the fact that we're adding 1,000 pages of thin content over the next 3 weeks because someone said we should have new content. Never mind the fact that our IT has decided to redirect all of the old content that we've deemed old to the homepage, and they're going to do...
and we just redesigned the site too.
Oh, yeah. But we took all your considerations and we did them on the old site, and we're sure that it'll go into the new CMS and the new WordPress theme. No. When you move from one house to another, or one apartment to a condo, or a condo to a home, nothing ever fits the same.
Yeah.
And for anyone that's ever moved, you bring the same stuff, you have the same content, it will never fit the same in a new CMS, it will never fit the same in the new layout. Things change.
Not to mention, the thing that I'm thinking about as well is you have competitors that are, unless you're in an industry where you happen to be the only person in that niche, which, have you ever come across that kind of an industry? I haven't, but
No.
They're gunning for you, and so you stop, you're essentially putting on the SEO brakes. They're moving forward still, and they're eventually going to overtake you.
Yeah, they will, and anyone else will. Or what was it? Over 1,000 or 1,500 changes Google made last year. I think it was they always throw out some crazy number.
And the percentage of search queries that are new every day, it's like a crazy number. One that's even hard to believe. Like new searches that are done.
I think it's still 20 or I think the number is still 20 or 30%. That's still to this day. There's that many new searches.
That's crazy if you think about it.
That have never been seen before. Yeah. It's a PPC person's nightmare is really what it is.
Yeah.
Now you have to use broad and phrase match.
So what does a person do, or what does a consultant, I guess both sides of it, from a consultant's point of view, but then also the advice that we need to give that small to medium business owner listening to this podcast, what advice do we give them? Hey, you got the audit and you implemented everything on it, and that's great, but you don't need to put the brakes on, and you need to keep moving forward. And let's talk about the why and what they can do and moving forward.
For me, it's what is your budget and how aggressive are you? If the amount of traffic and you just want a web presence, then let's do a bunch of stuff in SEO and let's have a quarterly checkup, or once or twice a year. It's almost like going to your dentist or your once a year physical.
Okay, I like that.
If you really have, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's a great analogy. I like that.
It's if you have a 5-page little restaurant or a 5-page little service site, the amount of SEO and the amount of content you're creating, you don't have a blog, you're not doing lots of stuff on social, you just want a web presence. Checking in with someone once every 6 months or once every year and just having a call and saying, hey, my business is still the same. We built this website a year ago. We built this website 3 years ago. How are we sitting? Let's take a look at the traffic. Schedule something, give them some budget and some time to kind of dig in and to walk through your business.
Well, and you said something there that really drives something home to me, because the other day I got a text from a friend that I have done stuff for. It's more of a trade, and he was all, "Hey, I noticed that I haven't been getting any calls anymore," and I was like, "Okay," and let's look into it. And well, anyway, turns out I go to look at his site and it's not even up. And so I asked him, I'm like, "Hey, did you know that your site was down?" And he said something to the effect of, "Well, I think I got like a hosting bill a couple months ago, but maybe I didn't take care of that." Well, turns out the site had been down for like 4 months.
Whoops.
And so even at the very least, having someone that's on top of it, again, like you were saying, that quarterly checkup or whatever it might be, if you have someone looking at it, even monthly, even, whatever it ends up being, you could save a lot of those kind of issues right there, because believe it or not, that's tied into SEO. A lot of times people think, well, how is my site being down for a little while related to SEO? Well, it's related to SEO big time.
Yeah, it's related to your business. You can set up in Google Analytics to have you can set up a monthly report, and there's templates out there, and have it emailed to you at the beginning of every month, and just look and see, hey, month over month, year over year, we're the same. Okay, my business isn't growing, but at least everything's still kind of working. Or work with someone and have them, every quarter, sit down, let them kind of give them a little bit of budget and say, okay, here's a couple hours, just dig into the numbers. Is there anything we can do? I think the goal would really be for a really small site like that to be able to see into the future a little bit and say, hey, your website's kind of aging now. If we look at some of your competitors that are either local, national, they're kind of starting to get ahead of you. Your site isn't even mobile friendly right now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you were saying that.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, 20% of your traffic wasn't mobile. But today, I just looked, 70% of your traffic's mobile, or maybe only 40% is. And it's still not urgent enough for you to go, wow, I really, that $1,000, that $5,000, whatever it is for the new website, the new theme, on all that stuff, perhaps you just can't stomach it. But it will let you start to go, okay, in 6 months, I'm going to start budgeting from now. For 6 months, we're going to sit down and we're going to kind of go over the details of what a new site's going to look like.
Right.
So now it's not, you're not getting a root canal tomorrow. You are planning. You can plan your resources. You can plan your budget, your time. You can start kind of doing some research on stuff. It just helps you plan out better. And I don't know many businesses that like big expenses, even people. The last thing I want to do is, my wife took the car in for an oil change the other day, and she came back, she's like, that was expensive. Because there was a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't know, like, the brakes are almost gone. Big safety things that we can't ignore that, I'm also curious, why didn't someone mention that recently, or we just maybe forgot.
Yeah.
But, for the website and for stuff, to plan out that stuff, it would really help. Or if you have a 5th year anniversary coming up, or a 10th year anniversary, and you're like, well, we want to do all this stuff. Well, if you have someone that you're kind of talking to, even every so often, they can go, oh, well, that's in 4 months, or that's in 8 months from now.
Well,
Let's start planning a new site launch.
And one of the things, too, maybe we need to take a step back for a second is, and I found this with a lot of the people that we work with that are more of the smaller businesses, is you talk to them about, hey, do you have your Google Analytics set up, or do you have a Google Webmaster Tools account set up, and their answer by the deer in the headlight look that they're giving you, and so maybe we take it a step back even further from that, and we're talking about, hey, get these reports and this and that. You know what? Let's just make sure that you're going to Google Analytics and that you're getting that on your website. Let's make sure that you have your Google Webmaster Tools account set up. And so those are 2 areas right there that any small business owner should definitely have on your website, no matter the size, even if it is one of those five-page websites. Let's get some analytics on it so we can know those things like you were talking about, Dave. If the traffic from mobile was only 30% 2 years ago and it's only gone up to 40% this year, or knowing that, hey, the mobile traffic's gone up to 70% this year. You only know stuff like that from your analytics, and so at least let's get that set up, and that's what made me think of it when you were talking about all that.
the number of times that I send that email over to new clients or even prospects that, please add me to your Google Analytics, your Google Webmaster, and your Bing Webmaster. The number of times that people go back, hold on, let me set some of those up.
Yeah.
Also, can you finish that technical audit next week? It's really hard for us to look and say, were you hit with a penalty last year? Or why are the calls from my website or my business down year over year when you haven't set that up?
Yeah, and one of the things that we can do for everyone that's listening to this is on the episode, we'll drop some links to where you get your, where you get the analytics set up and where you get your webmaster tools and all those, and the Bing and whatnot. So, all right, so let's jump a little bit into, all right, let's say, Dave, that I have done all of the on page. I have done, like everything that I needed to do. All my title tags are perfect. My descriptions, my on page. I got like a 10-page website. I have a blog, or I have something where I may be adding some content every once in a while. What are the kind of things that I need to be doing so I'm not just doing SEO once and forgetting about it?
It's actually earlier, it was last month. Cyrus Shepard he's not at Moz anymore, I don't think. He did a 7 title tag hacks for increased rankings and traffic. It was a whiteboard Friday, and again, we'll drop the link in there. I've often done that. I don't think I do the testing to that extent, but you can go back and take a look in your Google Analytics, in your Google Search Console, Google Webmaster, and take a look and see month over month, is traffic up or down for a certain page? Am I showing up in Google? Am I getting more or less clicks? And you can kind of take a look and see what people are searching for and how that relates to your page title, your meta description, and then the content on the page. If anyone that's listening does PPC, I often will approach SEO and kind of optimizing the page very much like that, where you want the keyword to match the page title, the description, and the actual content and the goal of that page from the intent all the way through. Otherwise, years ago, people were like, oh, you want traffic? Oh, well, we'll go rank number 1 for Pamela Anderson or Britney Spears or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we'll get you lots of traffic. But I sell baseball bats or I sell, retirement homes. What does that matter? Well, you were going to get your traffic. I actually prefer to see fewer pages on a site that are just killing it and driving tons of traffic than a 1,000,000-page site where everything gets one visit and nothing converts.
I like that. And that, again, not trying to drive this to a content conversation, but that goes back to, a lot of the type of content that you put on your website and making sure that it's that content that is answering those very specific questions that people in that industry have. And that's another area. Obviously, if you have that kind of content that is driving that kind of traffic,
Yep.
You want to make sure that it's SEO'd properly. You want to make sure, what would you say for because again, a lot of these people, they hear from different blogs, or they might have read something that was from 4 years ago and it's not going to be relevant today. And, you should have so many words on your page, or you should do this or that. What would you say to them? What advice would you offer them if they're trying to put together a really good piece of content that is going to solve one of those questions that people are asking in their industry?
I don't love it, but I do like the at least 100 to 250 kind of as a minimum. But there are pages where you can have a lot less and it still makes sense. One of the things I like to do is, if you were to strip away all of the rest of the page title, all of the visuals, everything else, and you're just left with that piece of content that you're writing. So say you just take it and you put it in a Word doc or you put it in Notepad and you just look at that. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me where on the site you are, what you're talking about, the product or service that you're selling? Does it describe it? Does it answer my question within that content?
I like that.
So if you can do it in 2 sentences, awesome. If it takes you, 2 essays worth, where it's 1,000 words to really break down this really difficult, tough question that people have, and you just need so many steps and you need all this stuff, then it should be a lot longer.
Yeah.
Of course, I prefer a little bit longer than shorter, but if you can do it very succinctly, then so be it.
Okay. Yeah, that's great advice. And so, again, what I hope that you guys are getting from this episode is just understanding that, whether it's the audit and you've implemented everything, and which my guess is you probably haven't if you've had an audit done. You think you've implemented everything and you haven't. But just making sure that, like, that stuff is done. Making sure, and again, from our conversation, Dave, what I've heard you saying when you're saying go back and check things or look at analytics or webmaster tools, like, these are, in a sense, mini audits. And so at least set yourself reminders that, hey, I'm going to do a link audit on my website, every 3 months or every quarter. I'm going to do a content audit. I'm going to do I'm going to make sure that if I'm linking out to certain sites, that content on those sites is still there. Because if my visitors come to my site and are reading content and they're linking out to something that I felt was important and they're clicking on that link and that link's dead, then that makes me look bad. And so again, just like those little things and also paying attention to the analytics and what people are actually doing on your site. And that could give you insights and ideas for additional content or where to put more, like let's say that you have a page that's getting a lot of traffic, but it's not really converting well or doing anything for you. Well, go analyze the content on that page. What can you do to make it better? Can you add more? Do you have too much? Going along the lines with what you were saying.
And I'll just kind of tie it all together with one thing that I used to do when I was in-house and I had 50 things to do is I would set up reminders for every Tuesday or, today's a Wednesday when we're recording this. So every Wednesday at 10 a.m., go look at analytics, ask a question, and spend 15 or 20 minutes trying to answer it within Google Analytics. You'd learn Google Analytics. You'd also figure out different things about the site. So it's like, how are people getting to this page? What keywords are people using to get to this page? Where do people go after they land on the homepage? Ask yourself different questions. You'll learn about your site. You'll learn about your prospects and your customers. You'll also validate that your site is up and that you're getting traffic too.
I like that. And almost what I'm about to ask could be in and of itself a whole nother subject matter. But what I was curious is, let's say that, you get people that are coming in and I want to do SEO, I want to do it better, Dave, but, like AMP pages and mobile friendly and this and that, and like, what should I be doing? Like, what's the very least? And again, maybe I shouldn't, maybe saying the very least, but we both understand we work with small to medium business owners, especially the smaller mom and pop ones, and they're running their shop, their business, inventory, everything that they're doing, billing, and they're trying to be internet marketers as well, just because they don't have the budget to hire someone. So we're talking to them right now. Like, what do they focus on? Where should they put their efforts the most in?
Does your site help your prospect learn about your business? I honestly don't think most companies need AMP right now. If you have 50-50 as far as, mobile to desktop and people really need it, there's some companies that probably still don't need mobile sites. I don't really know who they are, but I'm sure there's a couple out there that there's not enough there. But it's, by next year, you really need to start going mobile, if not already. Beyond that, just, make sure your site's actually up, make sure it is updated. And if you own a restaurant or something, please, for the love of everything, when it says your hours, do not put close. Put the time, please. I saw that recently and it drove me crazy. I was looking at a couple of restaurants and stuff, and it was like, we are open from 11:30 a.m. until close.
Yeah,
what time is close?
That was very helpful.
Thank you. I don't know if you close at 9 or 8 or 11.
Or one of my wife's biggest pet peeves is the PDF menus.
Yeah.
Please do a regular
can,
version of your menu. Anyway,
you can use Schema for that, which you're starting to get quite complicated. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do.
But what I'm hearing is at this point, being the provider of that, the solution for that question, is most important. Don't worry about all the fancy bells and whistles. Do think about mobile. The thing is, most people have their websites built on, I'm going to say the majority of people that we work with, they're already on WordPress or using some form of WordPress. And if you are using WordPress, they have plugins that at the very least, and again, I'm not saying they're perfect, but at the very least, they do tend to make your website a little bit more mobile friendly, certain plugins. And so, again, if you're looking at spending any kind of money, what I'm hearing from you say, or from what I'm hearing you say, Dave, is the money needs to be invested first into mobile and making sure that, if you are going to invest money, but then making sure that you're providing that best answer to the problem and being the solution. And that's really where it begins for these guys.
Yeah, I mean, if all you need to do is people to call you, I was looking for tree services recently. Most of them didn't have websites. Like, they could have just had a 2 or 3 page website that said, here's what we do, here's our phone number, here's a couple pictures, or here's some, a testimonial or two. Like, that's all they really needed.
Yeah.
I couldn't even find them.
Boom.
So I don't know if they're legit. I don't know anything about them. Just give me some of the basics, depending. If you're a restaurant, or you're a SaaS solution, or you're a bigger company that has, hundreds or thousands of SKUs, completely different websites. But for some people, just being there and being up and, like your friend said, 4 months, no calls.
Yeah. Well, something that we'll end on, and I'll wrap it up with this, but something that happened to me just today, and I thought that this was brilliant. This was amazing. I did a search. I'm looking for, I live in Arizona, of course, and so we have a pool, and the Arizona sun's no good to the decking, and we have a concrete slide that has to be refinished. And I was just looking up, someone that did that, and I loved it because I came across their page, and it is mobile friendly. In fact, it's so mobile friendly, the guy said, here's the number, just text me pictures of the work that you need done, and I will reply back with how much it will cost and when I can do it. So I did it. Within minutes, he texted me back, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars, and I can do it this time next week. You like it, yes or no? Boom, 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 done. I did it. How awesome is that? That is
very nice.
I mean, this is the generation too. Like, this is the generation that doesn't like to talk to people anymore, and so we want to be able to, anyway, I thought that was pretty neat, the way it all went down, and so, all right. Well, any last words on this, Dave?
No, I mean, that's a perfect example of make the experience as frictionless and easy as possible for those people to get a hold of you, give you your money, work with you, partner with you, whatever it is you're trying to do with them. That's the way to do it.
All right, for Dave Rohr and Northside Metrics, I'm Matt Siltala with Avalanche Media. We're wrapping up another one of these awesome podcasts. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.